Cory and Diane, congratulations for your short film, Best Friend.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks.
so much.
So first of all, how does it feel that Best Friend is being showcased at Slamdance?
Diana?
It's amazing. I think Cory and I worked together for a few years. I think that's definitely, although we've had filmed in some really great festivals, this is one of the biggest, or the biggest we've ever had a film in. So
Yeah, it is the biggest.
it
Yeah.
is the biggest we've ever had a film in. And also to be part of an inaugural program that
Totally.
focuses on something that we're both so passionate about, which is the increasing the invisibility and celebrating the images of authentic representation and disability. It's just really wonderful. We also have colleagues and friends and other filmmakers who are also in this series. So I think I can speak on behalf of both of us. We're very, very excited.
Yeah, most definitely. I will second everything that Diana just said.
Well, excellent. Well, Cory, where did you get this original idea from for Best Friend? What actually sparked you to write the script?
So Best Friend was made as part of the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge, which is an annual film challenge where you make a movie over the course of a weekend. And I mentor a lot of independent filmmakers and whatnot. And I always talk about when you're trying to make something and you're on a budget or you have no budget, you have to take stock of the things that you have around you. And I basically was looking at the things that were around me. The apartment literally across the hall from mine was available. It was empty. And so I went and asked the landlord, hey, can we shoot in an empty apartment? And he said, sure. And then I had been introduced to Gitane Neil that year, and she expressed an interest in acting. So I knew I was going to have a young actress. I knew I was going to have Diana because I cast Diana in everything that I do. So I knew who two of my characters were going to be. And it was really just the genesis of those two things. What do I have? What can I work with to try and tell a story? And from there, it just all came together. Well, who was found in an empty apartment? People who are moving or looking for an apartment. Okay, so what is the conflict going to be? Okay, well, the conflict is going to be Deirdre, Gitane's character, doesn't want to be here. She wants to go back to New York. And what's going to get her to stay here if the parents can do whatever they can do to make her happy, which is get a dog. And along the way to getting a dog, she makes her very first friend, and we have a nice happy ending at the end of it. I won't spoil the ending, but it comes together very well.
Wow. Diane, how...
So it's it was mechanical. But I'll tell you this, Gig, the thing, and I'm sorry to cut you off, the thing that I find so magical about it is I came at it from such an analytical way, but there was so much heart and truth in it. That is the thing that I think resonates with people. Like, people would never know that I just made this because it was like simply what I had to cobble things together with, you know. I was lucky. I was just so lucky.
Well, it works. You know, people pull inspiration from it anywhere and everywhere. So, Diane, how does it feel that your friend Cory put you in everything, and you play the significant landlady in this short film?
You know, it's wonderful. Cory and I have known each other 6 years. We worked together, and the second year of the Disability Film Challenge, I was the actor in the film, and then the next year we worked together where I had a role. So it's really wonderful. I mean, I hope it's because of what he feels I bring to it as an actor, but he's also, because of that, I've also learned a lot about directing. And Cory's been a wonderful mentor in that way. So I'm flattered that I think because we know each other so well, he also will put me in roles that he knows how I like to be featured. And he knows what I like, what are important milestones for me as an actor, as my career growth as an actor, and so I appreciate that he supports that. So he knows, for example, I like to play roles that have, where my disability, although noticeable, is incidental to the character or storyline. So a real estate agent, perfect. It's just me showing the apartment doing my job. So that's what I really feel blessed and grateful that, you know, he likes to put me in films. And I also, you know, I buy him pizza. So that's no, I'm kidding.
I'm easily persuaded with deep dish.
I always promise if you come in a film, I'll buy you pizza. So I think that's a big part of it.
I was going to say, Diane, is that you got producer credit. Is it because of the pizza you brought?
I think that was the pizza and the hamburger. If I want a hamburger, if I want producer credit, I had to double up on the food. But no, seriously, I think because of working with Cory, I've expanded. I went from being an actor into film to saying, hey, let me learn about producing. Oh, hey, you know, and then with I Can, another film, after watching Cory and working and deciding that we were going to work together, I would say, hey, you know, I think I'd like to try directing. And I learned out of that. So again, I think I got another opportunity to grow as an artist, whether working in front of or behind the camera.
Well, my suggestion to you, Diane, when you do your directing, you need to get Cory to act in your film.
I think he did a voice. He was a voiceover in I Can. You were the voice of the computer. So yeah, Cory did a voice. He had a cameo voice in my film.
We actually shot a little thing yesterday over the weekend that is for Slamdance. That's about best friend, and I'm going to do a little voice acting in that too. But yeah. That's going to come. Your audience is going to see this before that comes out, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And Cory's great to work with, and you know, so I appreciate him very much.
Excellent. Well, Cory, one of the things that you did with this film was to send out a message about PWD representation, person with disabilities. Could you tell us why this matters so much? Because one of the stats you said is that was one out of 5 people have some kind of disability, but they only represent 3% in the film industry. But your short film, what is that? 33%?
Something like that. Yeah, there's 2 people with a disability featured in it. They have visible disabilities. Diana having cerebral palsy and Gitane having Down syndrome. There's a couple invisible disabilities that other actors had in that. And then if you want to count the dog that had a disability that's in it too. That's another spoiler. I'm trying to hold it all for the festival.
But our PA had a disability too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. I try to also give people opportunities behind the lens. But it was 7 years ago. I was directing a short film with Nick Novicki. And he's a little person who's also an actor and a producer in his own right. And while we were filming that, he was educating me on these statistics that 1 in 5, 1 in 4 people globally have some form of disability. Doesn't necessarily have to be a physical disability, but it could be a learning disability. So you could be on the autism spectrum, blind, deaf, amputee, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome. You know, the list goes on ad infinitum. But there's only a 3% representation in all of television and film. So you're talking about, let's just say 20 to 25% of the population has a 3% representation. And so this was something that I got interested in after Nick educated me on it. It's going on 7 years now. And I think that it's really important. If anything that the last 4 years has taught us is that representation matters and that people's voices matter. And so as much as I want to be a great filmmaker, a great director, a great writer of cinema, I think that the only pathway to be able to do that now, with the amount of conscience that I try to put into my work, is to try to be as authentic as possible. And that means making sure that I do cast with diversity, and I try to be as open as possible to giving opportunities to people that are not usually seen on set, in front of the camera, or behind it. You know, Gitane, the star of Best Friend, she had never acted on camera before. And that year that we did this, she got nominated for a Best Actress Award. Now, that's all the effort that she put into it, and maybe a little bit of my directing. But, you know, that's the amount of love and compassion that you can get on camera when you start to give people opportunities. And Diana is a perfect example of this. She's a hardworking woman. And when she finds something else that she wants, she goes after it. Best Friend was the third project we had ever worked on together. And she said, I think I want to produce. So I brought her on as an associate producer. And after a couple of years of that, she's like, hey, I think I want to direct. And she shadowed me the year on the project we did before. And then she took up directing. And now she's like searching out and doing her own things. And it's amazing. Like if you have the seed, just water it. Just all you got to do is water it, and it will grow. But we've got to be willing to, you know, chop wood and carry water, as they say.
I mean, what you're both doing is admirable, and I think the reason why there is a lack of representation is possibly maybe not enough people work with PWDs, and they just don't know how to approach or handle situations, because I've talked to directors for Peanut Butter Falcon. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
Oh yeah,
and that actor was excellent, but they basically let him do him, and that's the best way to actually direct, you know, certain people. I think, and don't you agree? That's probably why it's sort of like regular people have disabilities of not knowing how to handle situations.
Well, I think it comes from a perspective of, we have this kind of ableist perspective. And I think when it comes to directing, and the more you broaden your mind and say, oh, like with any actor, this is how I have to work with this actor. And you make that individual choice, you know, and that happened in Peanut Butter Falcon. So I think there's a whole talent pool of trained actors, disabled actors, actors with disabilities, who would love to have the opportunity. But that means, you know, again, we're shattering some of those stigmas when it comes to disability, not so much the disability, but the stigma associated with disability, and some of those attitudes that we still need to shatter and still have authentic representation, because many times, even when a character with a disability is on, we see the actor is not. So it's again making sure not only are we representing disability, but having authentic representation of disability.
I'd like to add to that, you know, I think when you get to the heart of the matter, and this was sort of in your initial question, Gig, was that it comes down to, even more than it comes down to the right way to direct or work with an actor or anything like that, it comes down to one word, and that's fear. But, you know, people are afraid of things that they don't know. And so that is the big stigma that burdens the weight of the world on the shoulders of people trying to break into a industry that is, you know, known for beauty, known for action, known for high comedy, known for quick paces, known for all of these things. And so people have a fear. You know, we haven't had a catalog of movies that feature prominently people with disabilities in leading roles. So the bean counters at the studios and networks, they have a fear of, is this going to sell? Are we going to make money? And then you have all the other logistical people that have a fear of, are we going to have a set that can allow the wheelchair to get up there? Or is it going to cost too much for us to have to get the sign language person to help out with the talent that we've hired that's deaf. So all of these levels, this is all on top of all of the normal work that has to take place on a production. So there's a lot of fear involved. But any good movie that you watch, that you enjoy, pick your own, I don't care. Usually includes the hero's journey, which means that your hero needs to confront their fear. And on the other side of it, they always come out better. So we've been watching this slow transition in so many different ways, in race, with women, and all of these different things. And now it's disabilities time. Now it's disabilities time for people in charge of production to start to look this way and say, hey, let's start to confront this fear and let's start to make this happen. Because once these movies, these films, these stories, these actors, these directors, all of these people can start to share their stories, the fear will lessen. And the audiences, they will find acceptance because it's there. So yeah, it comes down to me. A lot of it is just having to confront and combat fear. And the great news is, and I'll finish with this, we do it together. Nobody does it alone. The things that I write, anything I write now, for example, I have Best Friend, the feature screenplay right now that I'm out there trying to get a producer attached so we can go out and make it. I always have a fear as a person without Down syndrome, as a person without cerebral palsy, that I'm going to write something, especially, and let's be honest, I'm a cis male white dude. So I send everything that I write to Diana. I hope you're on that side of the screen, to Diana. And I say, please read it. Give me your feedback. And she'll be the first one to say, like, I'm not a monolith for all people with disabilities. But my biggest fear is that I send this to somebody that I want to cast and they have that disability. Or better yet, maybe it's a producer and their child has that disability. And they just go like, you've got it all wrong. You don't know what you're doing. Like, I care. I care about the work that I do. I care about the people that I work with. And it just takes a little extra effort. And the payoff is amazing.
I'm going to go a little bit off topic because but it has something to do with disabilities. Is because there are more stories about PWD that's actually coming out, which is a great thing. But of course, one of the trends in Hollywood is to cast regular people to play PWD. Like, for example, Amazon's Sound of Metal with Riz Ahmed. And Riz Ahmed does not have a disability, but he plays someone who loses his hearing. What do you guys think about something like that? Or should they I mean, he's a great actor, but should they casted someone that actually has like a disability?
Yeah, I'm gonna share this story quickly. And I read this is true. A few years ago, they were thinking about doing Harriet Tubman, not the one they did, but the 10 years ago. And after they were thinking about casting with Julia Roberts as Harriet Tubman. And someone said, luckily, now, and I read this, now one can only hope that it never got made. And someone said, well, no one knows who Harriet Tubman is anyway, so it won't matter. Now, again, this is years ago. My point is that it seems only when it comes to disability is this ever an issue. Last year, when Halle Berry was going to play a trans character, the trans acting community got up and out and said, this is not, you can't tell a story. You know, if we see disability as a lived experience, and not a technical skill that you can train in, then it becomes a very different story. Disability is not a trained skill. And I understand the business and things like that. However, people get an opportunity to become a star because someone gives them an opportunity to make a good movie. And that's how their career. I mean, there was a time when no one knew who Brad Pitt was. He was just that guy in Thelma and Louise. And then he got this, and then he got this, and then he got this. So the argument that, well, we need a star becomes the catch-22 if you're not giving actors with disabilities the opportunity to do the film. And I also think it, again, erases the authenticity of disability, because it's like, well, they're pretending, and therefore it denies, to me, the authenticity that disability exists. They can say, oh yeah, well, Tom Hanks is pretending, or he's acting, but disability is a lived experience.
Listen, and I think, Gig, you hit the linchpin, the cornerstone of the biggest gray area with this conversation, because producers are going to tell you need a star to be able to get the movie made, and then everybody else, no matter if it's trans or Black or disability or any marginalized community, they're going to say you need to hire somebody not based upon their star power that will give you a return on your investment, but on authenticity. And I think right now, at least to start combating fear, I agree with what Diana said, but there are many things that can be done to sort of like make that gray area a little bit more opaque. I have my own opinions on Sound of Thunder because I played drums for 20 years and I'm losing my hearing, and that movie and all of there's a ton of authentic casting in that movie. When they go to that rehabilitation facility, all of those actors that are signing are real deaf actors really signing. So the person that doesn't have the disability, Riz, as you mentioned, you know, he went as far to learn ASL and to do all of that stuff. That is a nuanced character as well, because he starts off hearing and then goes deaf. That's a unique example. So I will go to something that's more difficult, which is the Bryan Cranston movie, The Upside. Yeah. So Bryan Cranston, God love him, we all love him, is not a quadriplegic. And things that could be done to make that more accessible or more acceptable is the word I'm going to say, but that's not really acceptability, is if they would have hired more people with disabilities that were quadriplegics. I don't know if they had people on set every day, but if there was a person that had that disability next to Bryan to say like, no, man, that's doesn't work, or no, within the community, we would never say that, or whatever. At least the voices in the room. So there are things that can be done. Eventually, we should be where Diana is saying we should be. You should be able to be hiring the quadriplegic, the deaf person, the blind person, the person on the spectrum, the person with Down syndrome. But until then, there are steps we can take, because she's right. You got to build clout. Those actors, Brad Pitt didn't come out of anywhere. He started off as a stoner on a dirty couch, smoking a bowl out of a honey bear freaking thing. You know, we all get our start somewhere, but we gotta start. We gotta start.
And I just like to say, you know, and Cory and I, you know, as friends, my opinion, again, I think, you know, again, you know, we eventually, the long time when we've been waiting 30, 40, 50 years to have those opportunities. This is not something that's been around since 2010. After the disabilities have been fighting this fight forever. So our eventual time has to come.
Yeah.
You know, and again, I mean, I think it's great with the Disability Film Challenge and Unstoppable. That's why I'm so excited about these programs. But, you know, and again, I'm coming from a very different perspective. I'm coming from the perspective of someone who has been in the trenches for longer than the age I told my agent I was last year. No, you know, but you know, it is so again. But what I do appreciate and what I love about Cory and my relationships is we can have these conversations, and we may, you know, I can hear his perspective and he can hear mine, and you know, there are challenging conversations and it's important to have them to be aware of what the issues are.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And just for the record, everybody will know who Harriet Tubman is because she will be replacing Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill
Which would be
next couple
great,
weeks.
yeah. That's awesome.
And we will never have that conversation.
Everyone should know who she is right now.
yeah.
We will
Yeah.
never have that conversation whether Julia
Yes.
Roberts would play Harriet Tubman.
That's so funny. That's so
Yeah,
funny. I've never heard that before.
I think I read it in like a Variety Digital or something a couple years ago.
Well, how about this? Tell me where you guys got all the dogs. Did you just contacted all your friends for their dogs? What's going on there?
That was
You nailed it.
fun.
The little black dog that Gitane's family adopts belonged to one of the actors. And then the dog with the wheelchair belonged to a friend of ours, actually a friend of a friend, because we kind of put it out there, like the idea was there. And so a friend of a friend, and she said, oh, my friend has one. So they came in, and then anybody that was working on set were like, bring your dogs down because we need other ones to fill up the other cages. So it looks like a real dog adoption place. So it was all hands on deck. Everybody came down. We're like, free kibble, free treats for everybody. So the dogs went home fat and happy at the end of that day.
It's a bring your dog to work day. That's great.
It
Totally.
was.
Totally.
So tell me about the rest of the cast because obviously you mentioned your main lead actress was found, I think was found through a friend's daughter. That's how you discovered her. And what about everybody else? Were they casted through the normal process, or were they also like you seek them out?
Most of them, because these things come together so quick, I wrote the script on a Friday and we shot it on Saturday. Oh. So again, trying to be, ahead of the game before, and it happens like that because they don't give you all the information in advance. I didn't know that it was going to be a family comedy was going to be the prompt and all that. So one of the things that I like to do as well is I reach out to actor friends of mine and I say, hey, going to be doing this thing this weekend. I would love for you to be involved. I don't know if I'm going to need you. So if you can kind of like just keep this weekend open and I'll call you. And so I have all of these actors and all this talent in my head. And so when all of the information is given to me as a writer, I go like, okay, family comedy, empty apartment, a family's going to move there. So Gitane's going to need, or Deirdre's going to need a mother and a father. So, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to grab Kim and then we're going to have this other family. So I called my friend Doc. And it kind of comes together that my producers on that one was Lola No and Allison Gray. And I asked that, and associate producing was Diana. And we, the first thing I do when the pages come together is say like, we need this person, this and this and this to make the cast happen. And everybody reaches out and it comes together. It's really like, if you go out and ask for help, lo and behold, people are willing to help.
I also have like Cory's a great guy, and you want to work with Cory. I mean, Cory takes care of people. He sets a set that makes you feel because people are volunteering for this. And I think what's really great about Cory is he takes care of he's a good leader. He's a good captain of the ship. And really takes care of everyone, made people feel really appreciated so that you don't mind doing it because I've been on those short films where I was on one where the director made me feel like, well, like if you want your own food, bring it, didn't really take care of us. And I think it's really important to take care of the family, take care of the people that are coming together. And Cory is really good about setting a tone. I rarely see him lose. I mean, out of all that pressure, I rarely see him lose it. I don't think I ever seen him have. I've probably come close a couple of times, you know, like, but he knows how to run the ship in a loving, productive way, so people
Thanks,
want to
Diana.
work and have fun.
That is excellent. It came together so quickly. When you did the script, was it a full script or was it sort of like a treatment and you just let everyone improvise?
No, it was pretty fleshed out the way that it was. There were certain things that, and I got to give a lot of accolades to Kim Kendall, who was the actress that played Deirdre's mom. She came in and immediately got what Gitane was going to be like as a scene partner. And unlike how we were talking about in Peanut Butter Falcon, where Zach Gottsagen, who's the lead actor in that, they kind of gave him the freedom to do his own thing. We had a script, and I was, you know, like a good director, I'm trying to knock off lines and knock off pages and keep the story moving forward. So it was pretty important for Gitane to say the right things. But what Kim did was great, is probably by take 2 of the entire shoot, I was like, okay, cut, we're going to reset and do that again. And she just went like this. She's like, no, she turned to me at camera. She's like, no, keep rolling. And Kim took control of the moment between it was the moment where Deirdre's sitting on the windowsill. And Kim comes over as her mom and sits down next to her and says like, oh, come on, what's wrong? And she goes like, oh, Deirdre says, California sucks. It's, you know, everybody's in yoga pants and walking their dogs. And she goes like, don't you like the sun and fun, the fun and sun? And she really gets into it. And she built this moment. And all I did was I stepped back because I saw what was happening. And I just started to work with the camera and be like, move a little to the left, move a little to the right. Like, let's build this. I was working with the camera team doing that because I knew that in that moment, Kim had the safety of the performance in her hands. Sometimes a director, you got to be like hands-on and be like, here's the performance that we need. And sometimes, you know, that one of the big lessons I learned from this production is like, sometimes you got to be hands-off, so to speak, and let the actors work it out themselves, because 2 actors in a scene that are locked in, it's up to the camera team to screw stuff up. Like if the actors are on point and magic is happening, if you don't catch that on camera, that's your fault. And again, we were lucky we caught it all on camera, you know, and so it's just, yeah, I don't know. We're lucky with this stuff. We're hardworking folks.
I think what you guys did was magical. It's terrific. And
thank you, Gig.
And I do wish you well on I believe it's qualified with the new category at Slamdance
the Unstoppable program.
Unstoppable program. That's right. We are so excited to be a part of that. It's amazing. I mean, Slamdance is really, you know, stepping up there and putting disability in the forefront with this program, and the fact that we get to be a part of the inaugural program. It's a big word for 2021, inaugural. It really is an honor. I mean, there's a lot of big festivals that are out there, and maybe someday Diana's work and my work will be able to screen in those. But for right now, I can't imagine a more perfect place to be, because Slamdance has the notoriety, but it's punk rock enough to be doing what they're doing, which is really putting a bright spotlight on the need for inclusion of filmmakers with disabilities.
Excellent. Well, let me wrap it up with one more thought, because obviously, I wish I was there in Utah. You guys wish you guys were in Utah. You know, we all wish we were in Utah. You know, we would have been speaking face to face right now. But but we're living in crazy times. So how are you two staying sane and creative now these days?
It depends on the day. If you're right, there are days that are really, really tough. But I think my life experiences have taught me a lot about resiliency and what happens when things don't go the way you hope they go in life. This is not necessarily disability, it's just life. And so, you know, I have a one-woman show I'm working on. I create classes, I teach. I'm creating my online classes. I I've read a couple, scripts, best versions of, things that Cory sent me from time to time. So I think it's really important, again, that just find what pleases you, but allow yourself to have those days where you're like, I don't feel I have to be creative today. Because I think there was that pressure, oh my God, I have to create something every day. I'm in the house. But you don't. You can still have that work-life balance. And I think that's really important, especially now because we're home more.
Excellent.
I've gotten so tired of being in my apartment. I went out and got one of these maps to the movie stars' homes, and I'm just touring Los Angeles, trying to figure out like where all of these famous people live, because it's just like, it's a big city here, and it's like somewhere in there, there's got to be something interesting to be able to see and do. But in all realism, I'll say, echoing what Diana said, as a creative person, and I mean, I'm creative to the core. I love to write. I love to make movies. I love to paint. I love to play music. It's just, it's in my bones. But there was that need at the beginning, like I have to be creative every day. And then when you're not, for a week, because I mean, we've been in quarantine now, or the pandemic has basically been going on for a year. Yeah. You start to feel really bad about yourself. And then it's been this cycle where I've come around and I've started to realize, hey, some days you don't work, some days you do. And some days I can put in a 10-hour day. Like my mind is blown. I'll put in a 10-hour day of writing, and other days I put in 10 minutes. And it's all an accomplishment as long as I keep on moving forward. And I think that's the big thing, is that we've all been under a lot of stress this last 4 years. I keep on saying the last 4 years, but that's going to be life. And as a creative person, as a creator in film or television, or any medium, like, just do as much as you can when you can, and be grateful that you get to do it. Because there's no bitter, harsh, worse enemy than ourselves. And we need to learn to just get out of our own way and keep on making things that make us happy. And when we can do that, life is better. 2 weeks ago, I like to meditate. I was meditating, and and in my meditation, it came around to like, how come I'm not getting the job? Production is starting to start back up slowly in Los Angeles and Hollywood. How come I'm not getting the job with the money? I wish I could just go out and make something, man. How come I don't have the opportunity to make something? And then the people at Slamdance said like, hey, you guys got anything to share with us about your movie? And boom, this idea for a little sort of commercial for Best Friend. I didn't want to make a trailer for Best Friend because it's a short movie, but this idea for a commercial happened. And then I spent one day in resentment going like, how come nobody's going to pay me to make this? And then I was like, you dummy. You were just meditating, hoping that you could have something to create. Mm-hmm. Go out and make it. And I did. Diana and I worked yesterday, and I got together with Gitane and Diana last week, and we made this super fun thing. And I'm so happy and like fulfilled because I'm just making it. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing there, man. Like, we got to get out of our own way, put our expectations of what we think we should be doing aside, and just have fun.
Sometimes I think the definition of that's just the process of doing it. I think we define success by the end product. But to me, we have so much that we don't always have control over the end product, but we do have control of the process.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what we can focus on.
Well, I could tell you guys are filmmakers who love your craft. So that is a great
and thing. Each other. Cory's a wonderful guy.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So once again, Cory and Diana, congratulations on Best Friend. I really appreciate you sharing this short film and this conversation with me. And I wish you guys good luck during Slamdance. I hope a lot of people get a lot of eyeballs on your short film.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
Gig,
much.
and thank you for the opportunity to be on your show. Even this little bit of this thing that you love doing right now, giving us this platform to share our message, helps the story of disability and the need for inclusion to get out there. So from me to you, thank you for giving us an opportunity to be on your show.
Not a problem. And I hope we do this again another day. So.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.